Welcome back, everyone, to Black and White Life Coaching. I'm Brad Richard. It is Sunday evening, and we are back for another video. I want to welcome everybody back to the channel. Also, to remind you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Click that bell icon down below so you can get updates or get notified of future videos that I am putting out. So, we're going to get started, and tonight will probably be a fairly short video. I also want to remind you that when we get towards the end of the video, um, go ahead and click on the playlist. It'll be in the upper right-hand corner at the end of the video, upper right-hand corner, the Black and White Life Coaching playlist. So right up there in the right-hand corner at the end of the video, click on that and check it out. All right. Well, tonight we're going to talk about attachments, not the type of attachments that you get in an email, but we're going to talk about emotional attachments. We're going to talk about positive ones. We're going to talk about negative ones. Okay. And, and I'll go ahead and kind of give you some examples. Okay. Of emotional attachments, but I want you to think of emotional attachments similar to attachments that you receive in an email. Do you open them? Do you download them? Do you save them? Or do you completely delete the email and don't bother with the attachment at all? Okay. So keep in mind that when we're speaking about emotional attachments, good and bad, picture or kind of connected to and related to an attachment in an email. Okay. I hope I didn't lose you. But we're going to be kind of using the attachment that's included in an email to kind of, drive the point home about emotional attachments. Okay. So with that being said, I'm tripping over my words tonight. That's okay. Like I've told all of you before, my videos aren't scripted and I wing it, and it's a one take deal. So I apologize if I'm tripping over words or if I have to stop and get a drink. Okay, so let's get started with emotional attachments. What are they, and what's the difference between positive ones and negative ones? I'm going to go through 7 points, okay, and I would recommend that either you write these points down or you can pause the video later and you can write these down. But you're going to be writing these things down. You're going to be writing the negative attachments that you have down, and you're also going to be writing down the positive attachments that you have as well. And the goal is to move the negative attachments over to the positive attachment side. Okay. That's why we're going to write them down and write them out. So I'm going to go ahead and cover what is a negative attachment, a negative emotional attachment. Okay. That could be, for example, negative messages that we received as children. You're too dumb, you're too fat, you're too lazy, whatever the case may be, whatever negative message you received, that is a negative attachment that, if held on to, can be very detrimental to our well-being. Okay. Number 2 would be your physical appearance. A negative attachment would be being attached to your appearance, and whether you like it or don't. Okay. And either way, it's really important to understand that being or having a attachment to how you look really brings in some issues as far as self-esteem, self-worth. Do we like the way we look? Do we don't, do we not? And that is a negative attachment, is if you have that attachment to your physical appearance. The next one would be negative belief systems. I could do multiple videos just on negative belief systems, but you're going to be writing down what negative belief systems you have. Okay. And along with the first 2, okay, Write down any negative messages you got growing up or in your past, any negative messages that were sent to you or given to you, or somebody said something that hurt your feelings. Write those negative messages down and ask yourself, how attached are you to your physical appearance? And how important is your physical appearance? Okay, write that down as well. Then the negative belief systems, start writing down a list of negative things that you believe to be that are negative in nature. You want to write those down. Another negative attachment would be other people's opinions, okay, of you specifically. So when other people have opinions of what you should do or shouldn't do, and you really listen to that, and you put a lot of weight behind that, you put a higher level of importance on what somebody else thinks of you instead of what you think of yourself, that is a negative attachment. Okay, and you can probably write down some opinions that other people have shared with you that were negative. Okay, and once we get done with the negative attachments, we are going to go through and move them over to the positive attachment side. Okay, so other people's opinions, it's a negative attachment. And there's also there's a negative attachment, or could be a negative attachment, that we have to any disabilities that we may have. Okay, any disabilities that we perceive to have or that we may have, there can be a negative attachment to that disability, and we can use that as an excuse to not move forward or to not do something. Okay. The next one would be a negative attachment to our education level. I'm not smart enough to do that. I don't have a college degree. Um, I dropped out of high school. We can have a negative attachment to our education level, which makes us question how smart we are or how competent we are when there are things that we want to do or need to do. Okay. And the last example I have of a negative attachment would be a negative attachment to your past experiences. If you had a bad divorce in the past, you may have a negative attachment to marriage. Definitely have a negative attachment to divorce, but that is one example. If you were abused or hurt as a child in the past, you're going to have a negative attachment to abuse, or to relationships, or to receiving love, probably conditional love. Okay, so that's a negative attachment to our past experiences. These are just examples. Okay, so these are just examples, and what I'd like you to do is write down on a piece of paper. These are 7 examples. Write down on a piece of paper the negative messages that you've received. How deeply are you connected, or how important is your physical appearance to you, or is that not something that kind of holds you up and prevents you from doing stuff? Also, the next thing I want you to write down would be any negative belief systems that you have, that you know that you have. Write those down. Also, ask yourself that, other people's opinions, how have I allowed those opinions to affect my life or control my life? Write those down. Look at any disabilities that you may have, and see if you have a negative attachment to those disabilities. And then we'll work on turning those around. Okay. And then negative attachment to your education level. Write it out, based on, if any thoughts or ideas that you've had about how smart you are, or how educated you are. And then write out some past experiences that have created a negative attachment. Okay. Now we're going to move to the positive side, and we're going to go a little quicker. On the positive side, positive attachments, positive emotional attachments, can be such as your family name. That can be a very positive emotional attachment where you feel attached to your family name. You may also be very attached emotionally to traditions that you grew up with as a kid and that you want to manifest or have in your life now as you move on. And as life goes on, you want to carry on those traditions. That is a healthy, positive um, attachment, okay, with traditions. Another positive attachment would be on your values. Write out your values, write out your traditions, write out your family name. And I think you know where I'm going with this. Values and morals, okay? Positive attachments to certain values or certain morals are strong um, attachments that basically will really make you have a strong conviction. You have morals, you have values, and a emotional attachment to those values and those morals will keep you focused on them, and you will not waver from them. They're yours, and they're what's important to you. Okay. Another positive. Sorry, I say a lot. My brain goes faster than I can talk, believe it or not. But the next one would be now this is a positive attachment, and that would be goals and dreams, okay, or dreams and goals, however you want to word it out. Having a positive emotional attachment and being attached to your dreams. They're vivid. You can see them. You can think of them. You can picture them in your mind, along with your goals. Having a emotional attachment to your goals, they become part of you. They are well, it's part of that journey, right? Part of that journey of reaching a goal, whether it be a small one or a large one. Okay, but having a positive emotional attachment to our goals provides fuel for those goals, provides energy for those goals to manifest and to become reality. Okay. And the last thing I wrote down is positive attachment to your legacy. And let me explain. I'm sure most of you know what a legacy is, but an emotional, positive attachment to your legacy, what you want to leave behind, what what type of feeling, what type of message do you want to leave behind to your children, your grandchildren, your wife, your husband, people that you care about. Your legacy is what you leave behind for them to remember you by. So having a positive emotional um, attachment to your legacy, once again, will fuel, it'll provide fuel for that legacy, excuse me, and it will really cement that picture of what your legacy or what you want your legacy to be. Okay. It's going to lock it in when having that positive emotional attachment. Okay. So those are some examples, and just like we did with the negative emotional attachments, the positive attachments with the family name, traditions, values, morals, dreams, goals, legacy. I would encourage you to write those out. Okay, write out the values, the morals, the dreams, the goals. Write out what you want your legacy to look like. Write out some traditions that you've had in the past that you want to continue on with in your life. And if you are positively, emotionally attached to your family name, write that out. Some people have their family name in many places throughout their house, or they have it in the front yard. Welcome to the Richards. And so that's a positive emotional attachment to the family name. Okay. So write out those positive attachments that you have and write out the negative attachments that you have. And excuse me, and the goal will be to methodically move the negative attachments over to the positive side and turning those negative messages into messages of positivity and affirmations, physical appearance. is accepting yourself just the way you are, and that the way you look is perfectly fine and acceptable. And the negative belief systems, well, to change negative belief systems, you have to replace them with positive belief systems. And other people's opinions are great. You can take them under consideration, but your opinion is the one that's the most important. Okay. Um, the disabilities you can work on, and I can help you with changing a negative attachment to your disability to a positive attachment to your ability. What abilities do you have? And those can be the positive side. Education level, you can always change that. You can always learn more. And your past experiences, you can learn from them and not repeat any mistakes that were made in the past. So, writing out your negative attachments and your positive attachments, the goal is to move the negative attachments over to the positive side. So, that's pretty much what I wanted to cover on tonight's video, this Sunday's video on attachments, on emotional attachments. And I hope that helped you somewhat. It'll help you a lot if you actually write them down. So I would encourage that you do that. So that's about it for this Sunday. I want to thank you all for joining me, and I'm going to end like I always do. Take care of yourself. Love your little guy or your little gal. They need you more than you can imagine. And until next Wednesday, when we have the Wednesday night short, and next Sunday when we have our next video, take care and bye for now.